Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to the video assessment that has been posted by the Mapup team, which is essentially on the Calgary HTTP data, which is a web server log analysis. So let's move ahead with the project. First of all, what I did is I've imported the required libraries that I'll be using it, obviously. Next, downloading the dataset. I've used this function, this section of code, which will download the dataset and keep it in the same folder where the analysis.ipynb exists. If it's already there, it won't be re-downloading it again. So, which will help us save time. Next, we come to the log parsers where I have written a regular expression which satisfies the conditions of Apache common log format and which I've used it in my in my later part of the project where I will be using this regular expression to parse the log format. These are some of the methods that I have written which I'll be using it and I'll be showing you right now. One of I have declared two lists, which is a clean rows and invalid rows. The clean rows obviously will be having the cleaned logs, and all the invalid logs or the malformed logs will be moving it into the invalid rows. Sorry, I've used gzip as one of the library modules to open the zip and parsing it. Next, if it is a strip 0, matlab if it's a blank line, it will move it into the invalid rows. If it's not, then it will move to the next parsing method, which will try to parse it according to the log pattern that I've already mentioned above. So if it is according to that Apache common log format, again it will moving on to the next portion of the of the line. If it's not, again all the invalid rows on the malformed logs will be appended into the invalid rows. Next we have this function definition of this request this function which will match according to the log pattern and will return the host, the two blank variables, the timestamp, the request status, and the byte strings. I have opened up the logs in my left pane of the window. This is the host. These are the two which is unnecessary for us. So I've just parsed it into the blank variables. Then the date format, the type of request that has been made, the HTML file name, the request, the response, and the byte size. Simple. That's all. And I'll be parsing the date time because I have to make it into the readable date time format, right? And what I did, obviously, I pass it into def time, which is will parse it according to the timestamp that has been provided and the date time. Yeah, and also I've considered the time zone, which was essential. I understood in the later part of the project I was facing some sort of issues which I'll come in a minute. uh, Next, moving on, I'll just take out those method resources and protocols out of all that requests and that has been made. So the request will move into parse request and it will just take out one by one the segment, this one and this one. Simple. Next, again, if nothing matlab satisfies this kind of scenarios, which we will move it into invalid rows as malformed logs. Next, yeah. So next we'll move on to the byte sent. Again, same sort of things, nothing similar. We'll capture the file name and the extension as well from the resource and file name, which I have written a method on top of, which will just just cut it and just take the important portion of the uh, string that is what we are trying to get. And then the clean rows will be having host, datetime str, which is has been converted to strf time. The R, the method, the resource protocol, file name, extension, status, bytes, and raw timestamp. Raw timestamp, by the way, is essentially the raw timestamp, which I'll have used in the later part because I was facing some sort of issues, which I'll again come back in a minute. Then I have used try catch. Obviously, I have to handle the exceptions and errors. Then the clean rows will move. So I've just print the number of records that is there in the clean rows and the number of records that is there in invalid rows. Next, the section 5 is just creating a data frame. Panda, I've used pandas as my data frame. So what I did is I just converted into data frames and just did a little bit of castings. This was the problem that I was facing. If I had to cast it into df time logs data times error scores, I was getting an error. It was saying that the time zones are mixed, which I could essentially just find out here. See, for example, this was 006 and this time zone is 0700. It was 0600. So what I did, I used UTC as true, which means it will convert it into UTC timestamp. Simple. It was coming mixed, so I have normalized the timestamp as well. Sorry, the time zone as well. I converted status into numeric, hours into numeric, and bytes also to numeric. Simple. Then a little bit of EDA on the data frame, the df dot underscore logs, which is my essential, the main clean version of the data frame of the logs. So I did a little bit of EDAs on top of it. I tried to find if there is any values or not. Then yeah, those kind of things, and I finally print the number of valid records, again the invalid records. Df logs dot info just gives me information about the data frame. This is string. Okay, this is the data time that I've converted, correct. This is the hour, status, bytes I've converted into integer. This is just a head of the logs. Just wanted to check how the data frame looks like. Moving on, the little bit of EDA, just checking out how things are there, which which will be used in the ask questions as well. Yeah. So the first question is count the total log records. It is simple. I just used len as a function to get the number of records in the df underscore logs. That's it. Considering this is only the clean and valid records, we am not considering the invalid records. As a data scientist or a data analyst or data engineer, I feel that unclean records might affect the analysis. That's why. Question number 2, the count of unique hosts. How many unique hosts are there? I have used an inbuilt pandas function, which is an unique, which essentially gives the number of unique files or the rows that are there in the data frame. Next question is date wise unique file name counts. Okay, so what I try to maintain is each of this question has a set of return type, which was asked. I tried to keep it as original as possible. I haven't modified the return type to represent it. I have just kept it as it was asked in the question as well. I didn't alter the function signature. Okay. So what I did to get this output is that I just df dot logs sort values date time, which is essentially sorting the value according to date time in ascending order by default. Group by the state str, date str, and the file name, and just count the number of unique records, then convert it into dictionary. So what this will do is just group by and count the number of records for that date str, number of unique, not everything, number of unique. Yeah. And return it to dictionary, which is the desired function signature for this required question. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the output, which will have the output of the date time and their unique records. How many file names are there for that date? How many unique file names are there for that date? Acha. Moving on to the next one, the number of 404 response codes. That is essentially very easy. We just have to filter the 404 responses in the status column and just get a sum of it, which will return obviously in integer format. So I didn't have to recast it into any other formats. Next is the top 15 file names with 404 response. It is again simple. what I had to do is that, filter out the 404 responses, group by the file name and the size of them. Size is essentially the number of times it occurs, and sort it according to descending order. Why descending? Because I have to get the top file name. Then I use dot head 15 to get the top 15, and dot items essentially converts it into, sorry, essentially converts it into a tuple. And I've regrouped or recasted the everything into a list, which was again the desired say function's signature. So I got answer as a list, where inside the list there are tuples, the group of tuples, where it will have the uh, file names, and there 404 number of times the 404 responses are there, which has been sorted according to descending to ascending, which is highest to lowest. Next of 15 extensions. Yeah, it is similar. It was a file name, now it is extension, so I just altered the extension group by, and everything pretty much remains the same. Okay. mm, Total bandwidth transferred per day for the month of July. Again, I have filtered the full data frame into, and took out only the records that has been appeared in the July month. Then I did a group by on the filtered data frame, to group by on the date time, and according to the bytes I did a sum, and just provide converted into dictionary, because again that was the desired function signature return. So I returned the bandwidth and I got the answer. This is the answer. For July 1st, I got this much amount of byte that has been transferred. Again, this is the for the total month of July. Next, moving on to the hourly request distribution. How much hourly request has been done? It is again simple. I just group by according to the hour, the size, which is essentially the number of time it has occurred. Dot sort index, it was not necessary, but still I put it just for safety net, and then convert it into dictionary, because again this was a the return was expected in a dictionary format, and just returned it using a placeholder return, where essentially it will just get its numpy 0, then 0, then with that 18605, and we have 24 hours format. So according to that, I have just mentioned it. It will have up to 23, and then it will just put number of times the hours has came into the picture. A picture as in the logs. Top 10 most requested file names. Once again, top 10 matlab I have to sort the values according to descending order and get the top 10 matlab head of 10, and I had to get it into a tuple format. So dot items, which will essentially convert it into a tuple format, and wrap it up in a list to get the desired output in the desired format or data type as it was expected in. Yeah, this is it. Top 10. uh Moving on to the last question, HTTP response code distribution. Hmm, what I have to do is just group by according to status and the number of time it has occurred. So group by according to status and dot size, convert it into dictionary. That's all. And what I did in the response, I took one of the items from the response, each item from the response. I ran a for loop to convert the k value and v value, essentially the this 200 and this value, into integers, because that was expected in the function signature as well. So into integer, and then print the output. That's it. uh yeah, that's it. I think I have provided a good project, and on top of it I've added the HTML version of this IPNB file as well. Thank you for having me. Thanks.